been 20-something years since Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf did the same exact thing. And then when Craig Hodges spoke out about it, both of them are NBA players, and, they kind of pushed it under the rug, and everybody just kept on going about their business. So now you have this gentleman here, and it's like, oh, well, we should boycott football. No, pay attention to the argument. That's what you need to do. And then when we start paying attention to the argument and get out of our feelings, we can probably affect some positive change, because one thing that the people who don't care about you don't have are feelings. So you got to get out of yours in order to talk to them, because you come to the table with emotion. He who angers you controls you. If I can control you, I get you to do anything I want you to do, and I still treat you in a disparate manner.
Yeah.
So what did you think? What did you think about the athlete? And I forgot who it was that came out recently and on being very critical of the female referees.
You know what? And that's a lot of ignorance right there, because they're, in fact, the female refs that I've seen have called games much better than a lot of the males. So, like when people are used to seeing a certain thing, if you're used to seeing, it's the same as in hip-hop. Everybody was used to seeing brothers and sisters rock the mic, and then came Marshall Mathers, who called himself Eminem, and everybody kind of looked like, who the hell is this guy right here? And then you have some other individuals who don't look like us, but they touch that microphone and they give us that same vibe, that same feeling. And a lot of people don't like it because it's like we can't have anything to ourselves. Well, you know what? Sometimes it's not about keeping it to yourself. It's about starting it, and whoever makes it better and keeps it alive, that's the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's real true. But like I said, when he came out with that comment, I'm sitting there going like, I've had cousins of mine that have played sports and also coached and I believe done some refereeing, and I agree. Sometimes they are actually the ones that are actually doing it more according to the rules than some of our other folks that are calling the games on a more on what we're used to seeing, whether that be that the standard white male referee or even some of the brothers, because sometimes they have their own bias. But definitely, I've seen some sisters that are very fair in their calling of a game, sometimes even more fair than some of the other folks.
Yes. So sometimes our biases can make us say some of the most ignorant things, and we have to look at it as, I guess I look at things as what if it were me? And I listened to all of the stories growing up from my parents and my aunts and uncles about how they had to fight. And they had to fight just to get what we enjoy now. We couldn't enjoy it then like that. And they lived it, and they fought, and they used their brain and came together. They also got people who were not like them, but were fighting for the same cause. And that's why I tell people, I said there are more Quakers than Klansmen. You have to figure out who is who. And once you get those individuals to help you, you could take a whole lot of stuff and change a lot of things. But if you stay in your feelings and you want to keep it isolated, then at that point all it becomes is talk. And a dream without a plan is only a wish, and we keep wishing. And at some point we got to start acting, motivating, organizing, and doing. And at that point, we will have. Maybe we can get somewhere,
And we've also got to understand our history, because I actually had a dinner lunch appointment this past weekend with a sister who was actually in the divinity school at Duke this past weekend, and she was actually dropping down some serious knowledge to me, because she's actually going to work on a book, and I'm hoping to have her on as a guest very soon. But it's a book about the segregation that exists every Sunday morning, but the segregation of our churches. And some of the things she brought up, I knew in the back of my mind, but I hadn't really thought about them. But she brought up to me the fact that we always think about the segregation of the churches starting after slavery. It actually, starting during slavery. It actually started after slavery, because the people that owned the slaves wanted to have the people of our of the darker complexion with them in the church, because that was a way for them to keep an eye on them. So there actually was a lot of integrated church services during slavery. So both the slaves and the master were in the same church service, which I hadn't thought about. But, yeah, she brought that up to me. And the other thing she brought up was the fact that we had – everybody talks about the sit-ins. And, yes, the sit-ins were successful, but people forget that there were actually kneel-ins during the civil rights movement, and those were not as successful because there was that hit that existed between the white and the black churches, so that when brothers and sisters went into churches and tried to do a kneel-in during the civil rights era, they were actually met with a lot of resistance, even more resistance than those sit-ins were happening. So those were actually considered a failure.
Wow.
So I'm hoping that we'll have Valerie Cooper, who is with the Duke University Divinity School. She's already agreed to come with us, hopefully sometime in the latter part of August or maybe the early part of September. But she's actually writing a book on this whole study of how that segregation still exists. And she actually, she does not hold any punches back. She talks about prosperity ministry. She talks about some of the other things that are even going on with our young folks and how some of them are getting away from the church or even turning their attention toward other kinds of religion, whether that be Yoruba or be that Eastern religions or whatever, but they're kind of exploring other more, what I guess we can get more spiritual religion. So it's going to be interesting when she comes on the show because, we've had some other guests that have talked about that, and I'm looking forward to having her on. Also looking forward to having a buddy of mine on who's agreed to come on. You'll be glad to hear this time because I know you wanted one of these on for a while, but a buddy of mine who is a avowed atheist, and he even acknowledges that that's what he is. He has agreed to come on the show and try to explain why he believes that God doesn't exist.
Oh, wow. Hey, each person believes a certain thing,
Yeah.
So that's
for another day, and that's for another discussion on another day.
Another discussion another day.
I do want
but
to.
I did hear back from Cicely. I did hear from Cicely, and Cicely did complete her list. Because we said 5. The rest of her list was Guru's Jazzmatazz and the Roots.
Okay. Shout out to Black Thought, Questlove, the legendary Roots crew. Been rocking it for almost 30 years now. Indeed.
Yeah, Dean, if you could, I'm pretty sure you could reach out and get in touch with DJ Mike Checker. See if Mike would like to be a part of the show one day. When we do have a discussion with DJs, because Mike has definitely been an icon and very influential in our era for hip hop and music, period. And he still does his thing.
And there's another brother, I call him a brother because I met this man in 1989 back when I thought that there were no white guys that could get down on the ones and twos. His name is DJ Casper. He's from my hometown too,
oh, yeah.
just like
I've
Mike
actually
is.
Met him.
And if you listen to him and you close your eyes, you see us. That's what his soul is. So, it's looking at what a person's heart is and not what their skin color.
Oh, yeah. That's just like somebody's got to get a hold of DJ K Capri. That would be great to have Kid on our show. The Black Italian. Yeah, I would love to have Kid on the show. I got to figure out how and who to advocate to bring K Capri onto the show. These are just some of the aspirations and some of my wish lists of things that are to come for the show. But on that note, I want to bid you brothers adieu because Ty does have to step out. But it was a pleasure to be on the show today. I plan to be a part of the discussion next Monday, same time, same place. Dean, once again, happy birthday. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. I'm about
and God
to,
bless you and your wife. Oh, thank you for posting the post on marriage because I did copy and paste it as well and got over 80 likes on my post.
Shout out to her.
That was
her birthday's tomorrow, so we continue to party. Yeah, we party today.
Happy birthday. Thank you guys. Yes. Thank you, Mark. Hold it down over there in the Bull City, and I'll see you guys next week.
All right, good.
All right.
All right now.
So, Dean, yeah, so I got a couple of questions for you, but we wind it on down and everything. Taz just down out of here, and hopefully we'll be hearing back from her on a regular basis as she's joined the conversation. But it's definitely good to hear Cicely back on and everything. But we also, one of the other things I saw in the paper that I know we've talked about before and that you might find interesting is the whole concept of debt. So one of the articles that I saw today was just talking about how debt can be awkward or embarrassing, leaving you to worry in silence about your own rising balances or family members' finances. So somebody had asked whether debt ever gets so old that you don't have to pay it, and the answer was not really. Many debts that might be wearing credit card balances or medical bills, surprisingly, believe it or not, Dean, they have a statute of limitations. It varies by state, but generally it is 3 to 6 years from the first missed payment or most recent payment. But most negative marks fall off the credit reports after 7 years, but you still owe the debt, and debt collectors can seek payment even though they can't sue you. So apparently they cannot sue you, but they can still come after you whenever they feel like it. And then they brought up some other things, too, that I hadn't thought about because they said, can I be arrested for debt? Technically, no. Federal law bars debt collectors from threatening you with arrest or jail, but debt collectors can sue for payment, and about 90% of people they sue don't appear in court. But, that's when you're feeling guilty, so a lot of times you don't bother to show up. Probably the same thing with missed rent payments and things of that nature. That leads to a default judge order and repayment, and some collectors have used arrest warrants to get consumers to comply with such orders. That's uncommon, though. Usually courts order payments from your wages or bank account. So even though you might think you're getting away with it, they're going to come and basically just put a lien on either your wages or your bank account. So you will wind up paying one way or the other. And then the other thing they ask whether bankruptcy erases all your debts. And the article says alimony and child support obligations can't be erased by bankruptcy. Student loans, tax debt, and judgments can be difficult to eliminate.
Yes. Alimony, child support, any court order fine, and student loan payments from the federal government loans are non-dischargeable debts. Now, you can, and it takes a lot to do, if you can prove that it is a hardship and that you will not make any money in the next 3 to 5, maybe 10 years, then it's possible to have the student loan debt erased, but it is extremely difficult, and I just say go ahead and pay for the student loan until they get to the point where if they legalize these drugs, man, and might be able to erase some debt. But before then, just pay your bill. You know what I mean? Just pay the bill.
Just pay the bill. Just go ahead and pay the bill. Don't be trying to sidestep paying the bill because, we all got bills. I know that every time I go to the bank, my ongoing joke that I tell all the people in the bank is that, because they'll ask me, they'll say, well, how do you want these bills? And I'll usually tell them, it doesn't matter because most of this money that y'all are about to give me is about to go to somebody else. So, y'all are handing it to me, and I'm just getting ready to hand it to somebody else. And the other thing that I used to tell folks, and it was almost like a running joke, was I just want to figure out a way that, I do the mass transit thing, so they just need to come on the bus with me. But I want to find a way that I can carry with me all people that I owe, be that my landlord at the apartment, be that the electric company, be that the water folks, be that whoever it is that I owe. I just want to carry them with me to the bank. That way, we ain't even got to worry about the second step where I go and get the money order or I go and bring it to them. I just will literally turn around and be like, here, this is yours.
Here you go.
This is yours. This is yours.
Right.
If I'm lucky, I got $20 back.
Exactly. And I'm gone. You know what I mean? Like, here's your money. Don't call me until next month. And we will talk about this when we start this conversation again in 30 days.
Yeah. I just figure we need to have, matter of fact, whoever came up with Uber and Lyft, they came up with a great concept. So this is my new thing. Cicely talked about the startup and some of the innovative businesses. Whoever can invent the car that takes your debtors with you to the bank, I'm telling you, you will make some money.
You'll make a whole lot of money, man. You'll make a whole lot of money. It is, yes, indeed. You know what I mean? Golly.
That's the new businesses we need to start. We know, just like there's these people that have like those bicycle